Teslacam. I hope you're satisfied.
This video's submitter was driving his Model 3 in Oregon. He was headed to pick up his wife in Salem, about 5 minutes north of Eugene. All of a sudden, this Hyundai sporting California plates pulled up next to him. The Hyundai driver proceeded to pull a gun and point it at the Tesla driver. The Tesla driver ignored the Hyundai driver in an attempt to de-escalate the situation. The Hyundai driver started to drive around him, but then merged behind him. He says he never called the police or pressed charges, but he wanted to share the footage so others are aware of this person. When he noticed that the Hyundai was from California, he thought to himself, that makes sense. Chris was driving his Model 3 in Ventura, California when this happened. A Honda who had the right-of-way was T-boned by a Nissan 350Z that was exiting the freeway. The Nissan driver said they were looking down and didn't see the light change. Jonathan from Suisun City, California was going to work in his Model 3 one morning. Ahead, we can see the traffic light switch from red to green. As Jonathan was entering the intersection, a Toyota SUV decided to turn right and enter the highway. Slamming on his brakes, Jonathan honked the horn. The Toyota swerved and proceeded to move to the right-hand shoulder. Jonathan said the Toyota driver then flipped him off, so he just decided to stay behind him and keep his distance. Brian was driving his Model 3 in Cleveland, Ohio when he signaled to enter the leftmost lane in order to overtake the white Dodge in front of him. The driver of the truck seemingly sped up while Brian was entering the lane. Instead of letting off the gas and slowing down, the driver decided to use the shoulder to overtake him. After this happened, he got into the middle lane. As Brian was passing by, the truck driver began to yell threats out the window in an aggressive manner. Brian says he laughed it off and ignored him. He still isn't sure what he was so mad about considering how rude of a driver he was being in the first place. Jake was driving his Model 3 in Kansas City, Missouri. He noticed a drunk man who was yelling at another man from across a church parking lot. The man then ran away through traffic, only to stop when he collided with a lady's brand new Dodge Charger. He cracked the lady's windshield and we can see her side mirror fell off. The car in front of the Charger was a school police officer who called an ambulance, which showed up moments later. The first responders who arrived thought the man might have sustained a broken rib. Adam was driving his Model 3 in Cambridgeshire, UK. He had a bicycle in front of him as he approached a roundabout. The cyclist decided to cut the roundabout by riding toward an oncoming truck. Luckily, the truck stopped and no harm was done, although the truck driver did look very shocked. Jeffrey headed to work in Houston, Texas in his Model 3 when he was struck from behind by this reckless speeding car. As Jeffrey pulled over to exchange insurance information, the offender sped off. Jeffrey briefly pursued, but he was going at such high speeds that he didn't think it was worth the danger. However, he got a good look at the license plate, and after doing some research, he found the guy who hit him. The man appears to be a New Orleans police officer. The car he was driving was uninsured. Jeffrey's car was in the shop for 3 weeks and sustained over $3,000 in damage. Some kid spat at this parked Model 3. He was far enough away that the Sentry Mode didn't catch him, but the submitter saw it thanks to another event that happened a few minutes later. Mike had parked his Tesla in Kirkland, Washington when Sentry Mode was triggered by this woman. She got in her car to leave and hit his Tesla not once, but twice. It looks like she could have just backed straight out, so it's kind of impressive that she managed to hit the Tesla twice. After she finally cleared the Tesla, she took off without even leaving a note. Mike filed an insurance claim with video evidence. The woman denied the incident repeatedly. Of course, the insurance company ruled that she was at fault and she had to pay for the repair costs as well as the diminished value of the Tesla. Diego was driving his Model Y in Raleigh, North Carolina when he noticed a dark vehicle speeding down the slow lane. All at once, the vehicle then slammed on its brakes to avoid hitting a girl running across a road with no crosswalk while the lights were green. About 5 minutes later, Diego was sitting at a red light when a vehicle ran it, barely missing hitting another car that was turning. Chris was driving his Model 3 in Orlando, Florida, when he saw this black pickup who missed his exit by quite a bit. The driver's response was to drive through a flooded ditch to get to the ramp on the right. Yeehaw! Taylor was driving his Model Y in Seattle with his wife and infant daughter. He saw a pickup truck driving aggressively through traffic with a sofa in the bed. Deciding it was best to stay back, Taylor watched as the other driver used the left lane to pass slower traffic. Suddenly, he decided he needed to exit to downtown Seattle, which required crossing over 3 lanes and the median. In the process, he lost the sofa and it bounced off of another driver's trailer. With autopilot disengaged, Taylor stepped on the brakes, checking all lanes to make sure it was safe in the process. Taylor says he had a feeling that the truck was going to lose the sofa because he had already been driving recklessly, cutting off another vehicle earlier in a merging lane. Taylor ended up continuing to his exit since this happened in the middle of the busy I-5 highway in downtown Seattle. He says it wasn't safe to pull over or exit his vehicle. Tristan was heading to the supercharger in Boise, Idaho in his Model 3 when this happened. He was surprised by a group of 3 raccoons, also known as a gaze, running across the road between streetlights. Luckily, he was able to brake quickly enough to avoid hitting them, and we can see on the left repeater camera that they made it safely to the tall grass. Willie had parked his Model S in San Antonio, Texas, when a campaign tent owned by Mauro Garza fell on his car. Mauro Garza was campaigning for election to the U.S. House of Representatives to represent Texas' 20th Congressional District. Willie contacted Mauro Garza about it, and Garza told him he doesn't have any business insurance and refused to pay for it through his campaign. He said it wouldn't be an allowed campaign expense. Contacting the Federal Election Commission, Willie found out it absolutely would be an allowed expense. Garza then wanted to have Willie go through his insurance to pay for the damages, which totaled about $1,600 US. He was going to have one of the volunteers working there write Willie a check for the deductible instead of paying for it himself. Willie was going to take the money because the volunteers swept it under the rug, but then they wanted him to sign a legal document that would hold them harmless for anything else in regard to the incident. Willie stopped communicating with Garza and is now letting his insurance company pursue the matter. This video's submitter was driving his Model 3 in Columbus, Ohio. Watch this guy pull out right, then sharply go left. The Tesla's autopilot didn't stop or give any warnings. Everything you see was the driver's reactions. Antoine was driving his Tesla in Montreal, Canada, when he saw this Land Rover driver who apparently doesn't believe in stopping for red lights. Local police were contacted, but there was no follow-up. Rory was driving his Model 3 in London. He'd been behind this Peugeot for some time and noticed that her driving was erratic. She was doing around 20 to 30 miles per hour when she suddenly sped up and decided to change lanes. Rory adds that full credit goes to the elderly driver of the brand new Skoda for taking such quick action. Are you a Tesla owner with a Teslacam or Sentry Mode video you want to share with us? Please send the video together with a description of what happened via the link in the description below.
Oh Lord, won't you buy me a cyber truck? My friends all drive diesel, I must make amends.